Hello YouTube artist, I'm Kelly Hernig and welcome to In the Studio. Today I'm going to share a fun study that I'm doing with a group of friends. We connect once a week and share the art that we've done, what we've learned, what we're excited about, and it all started by the beauty of this book. This book has been around for a while. It's called Creative Abstract Watercolor by Kate Rebecca Leach. And I find it one of the most beautiful, well-written watercolor books ever. The step-by-steps are great. It gives you a lot of jumping off points. I can share with you. The pages are beautiful. You just want to touch every one and be like, because they look so dimensional with the white and the gold and all of the just beauty in this book. I love how she lays it out. I mean, just that, right? You just want to grab your paints and go start working. Each little section that she has in here is just really lovely. She talks about all of her supplies. She gives you great examples of different ways to do things in different colorways. And I'm finding this really exciting because I am experimenting with colors. She talks about what colors she uses and everything like that. This was the page that inspired me the most. Let me get my light off of it. I mean, I just want a notebook full of this because I am not a mark making person. So marks is when you're adding all these little dots and dashes and that kind of thing to your watercolors. So this page for me is like a treasure trove. And I told myself if I could get a sketchbook full of something like this, so that if I'm wanting to make marks or add some different things to my watercolor, it would make a great resource for myself. That is my designs, not just hers, but that I'm gaining confidence trying hers, but then experimenting with my own. So this page to me is very much a delicious page. I just want to create over and over and over again. She talks about different ways to do things so that you're trying new techniques every time. She has a lot of great examples here. So if you're someone just starting out as a beginner or even as an advanced person, I think it's fun to do the lessons. I mean, I took my time playing with each of these and I'm going to show you my sketchbook in a minute. You can see different techniques on water blooming. So you're trying like pooling paint at each end, soft wash with pigment in one end, all over coverage, lots of water on one end, new color at spots of paint, spots of water. So something like that. I mean, if you just have a whole page where you're trying different colors, but you're using the same technique over and over, what a beautiful way to give yourself something to play with and aspire to and really find out what you like and what you don't like. I loved playing with the spots and the circles, not only with your brushes, but with like Q-tip or an eraser or a dot tool, but even your fingertips. And here she talks about masking fluid, which isn't this just a gorgeous piece with that masking fluid up there? I love this piece so much. A lot of techniques on how to get to know your brushes, which, you know, a lot of artists, they use the brush one way. So this is a fun way to try it in different ways. Try it with just the tip down or pulling thin and thick, staying on the tip and then laying it flat. It's just a way to learn your brushes a little better, but it also is allowing me to play with colors. So I have a lot of different colors that I'm playing with. I'm trying to be bold and dark in this book. Here is some mark making basics where she talks about like scallops and lines and wavy lines, just dots in all kinds of different forms. And I really like that when she is giving you a lot to think about. And look at this one in the middle here. I love the colors, how it goes from dark to light, but there's a lot of cauliflower in there, but yet look what she did with her marks. And I think that adds such a beautiful texture to the overall look of that. Here's more marks. Again, another page that I just want to fill my journal with. Look at that. So these are her samplers. These are some different exercises in her books. I even like these practice pages, and you'll see those in my book. And here's the sampler. So I want to show you my sketchbook. This was the first sampler here, and it goes into this. So I am only on page 39, and I want to show you my sketchbook so far, because it's only been up to page 39. We are looking at this as a study guide where we're trying every exercise that appeals to us. You know, we're three different people. One works mostly in pastels. One hasn't been painting, but she's getting back into painting. But we all come with different skills, and we're all drawn to different colors, different things. So it's been really interesting to watch so far. So remember, I'm only on page 39 of this fantastic book. And I want to show you how I'm working in mine. I'm working in a Venezia book by Fabriano. Here is the stats. So it is drawing paper, it says. It's 9 by 12, 90 pounds. There's 48 sheets. It's acid free, and I'm really, really loving this. You can see it's nice and big. It's really thick. You can see the pages that they're a little wavy from the water, but I'm okay with that. I'm sure as I press it over time, once it gets full, I will probably lay something heavy on it and just let it sit for a couple days to kind of smash. When I was working in here, I really just wanted to take my time. My idea is to fill this sketchbook with just goodness that I love from the book, so I have something I can reach for all the time for ideas. Here was my first study. This was just about putting wet on wet. That's all I did with this. I picked two colors that I liked, which is Schminky Tundra Green and American Journey Apricot. And then I wrote what I felt over here. So the things that I was wanting to look at was key elements like line, shape, and form, finding your abstract mindset, if I had one, because it's really hard for me to come up with abstracts. Color philosophy. I'm really trying to play with colors that I like, maybe some that I'm familiar with, but I've also tried some that I'm not familiar with. So in this one, Tundra Green is one that it's a green color that separates into this kind of brownish flesh color, and that's why I thought the apricot would go really nicely with it. So let me show you these two, because they are the ones that separate it the most. That way you can see what I mean by Tundra Green. So you can see it's granulating, and here it's separating into the different colors. Doesn't that already look like just like a topographical image? I love that. And then adding the apricot to it, I thought it would just look really nice together. I thought they would blend a little seamless. So here was different wet on wet techniques. So I wet the entire box. I put Tundra Green up here and apricot here, and watched which one had more power to like fill the space. You can see Tundra Green filled a lot more than the apricot did. Now the apricot has a lot of white in it, so I wondered if that had something to do with it. And I just did every exercise like that. Wetting some, I dipped into the Tundra Green while this was wet. While this was wet, I dipped into some peach, and I'm just trying different formats. On this page, I wanted to experiment with my brush. Remember, she talked about using your brush, staying on the tip of it, but then also pulling it a little differently or longer. Here I tried leaves, and you're trying to leave that dark spot in one thing. So taking your brush and laying it down and letting the water go there, it took a little bit of practice. You can see some are softer, some are more bold, some I had to actually come back and lay them down. But it's teaching me different ways to hold my brush. So instead of just laying it flat down like that, when you want the drip to be here, you kind of lay it down, but then you kind of pull it back just a little to get all that moisture off the tip of your brush right there in the middle. So you can lay it down like that, but then if you come back up on your tip, you'll get that little point. Where if you're doing it this way, you kind of have to pull your point and then lift up from there. So trying it two different ways, and I am trying to not move my book, I'm trying to move my hand to get it in different positions. Here I tried 3 different brushes. I've got a large quill here, I've got a smaller quill, and then I have my Aqua Elite brush that's a little pointier. So these are the 3 brushes that I really like to use. So I was seeing what each brush would do for myself. What kind of water, what kind of circles, what kind of control. And then I just wanted to try a flat brush and make some different colors with just values. Here I'm doing different techniques on the leaves. And I really used one color here. This is Da Vinci Artemis, which is again a separating color, and you can see that really great on this page. So look at all the blue and the pink. That's what happens to Artemis. It just kind of separates into these lovely colors. Look how beautiful that is. So I'm trying to give myself texture also with my paints that I'm choosing. Now for this page, I know that I want my texture pages to be very unified. So what I did was I created a grid. Let me get this out of the way. I created a grid out of just watercolor paper, like not, probably about a 90 pound, maybe 140, probably more 90. It's a little stiff, but it's not like 300 pound. I didn't want to waste paper on this, but I wanted it so that I could figure out 12 equal spaces and just lay it on the page. So all I do is, I have a little X in the corner here. See the little X? That means that's the top inner. So all I do is lay it there, take a pencil and trace each box out. And you can see how beautiful that looks. And you'll see that all of my pages look fairly uniform because of that. And that's exactly what I wanted. So in this, remember I showed you that little leaf with the masking fluid. So on this I was trying masking fluid, white gouache, and a white pen to see if I noticed the difference. And here's what I did. I liked the boldness of the masking fluid, so it was much thicker. The gouache, I liked that it went in and out, so it's not as bold as this all the time. And then the white pen was just too fine. And for the gouache, I want to bring this up so you can see what I mean. Some of them are brighter, some of them are duller, and that's because when I was using the gouache, I would put down the dots until it ran out. So it's giving me that softer look and that harder look. So there is the masking fluid, and you can see they're all bright white. This is the gouache, and you can see how some are brighter, some are duller, and that's because of wearing them out. And then this is the Uniball Signo pen, the white pen. And you can see they're just too little. So I needed a bigger point or else to make bigger circles. But it was really nice trying these out because I didn't know that I would like the masking fluid, but I really like how it was here. I thought it was really pretty. And then I continued my white pen and gouache on these exercises as well. So some stripes are gouache, some stripes are pen, some are gouache, some are pen. And what I learned is the gouache, if I want kind of a fuzzier application, I am liking the gouache better than the white pen. So let me show you up here. So you can see that one's gouache, and see how it kind of, to me, it lays in or sinks into the color, where the white Signo, it just kind of stands on top and it looks like almost plastic, where this looks a little more natural to me. On this one here, the white pen is the bottom and the gouache is the top. So giving myself a way to just play and experiment with this was really fun. And what I did was, again, just looked at her images and decided what art marks I wanted to add. So I really like the circles. I leave a lot of empty spaces in my washes. I like those bigger spaces here of white as well. So it's been fun to kind of, how can I connect them? How can I make it look like something? I enjoy the little lines on the circles. I thought that was kind of fun. And then here is another one where I tried just the masking fluid. And for this, I am using the Schminky masking fluid, and I am just using the tip how it is here. It's a pretty good size tip. So when I'm adding it, I'm just laying it straight down like this and adding the dots. Like this one, I started here and then just scribbled. Here it was a dot and then a dot. So just trying it with different applications to see how I like it and to see the results. I really like the thinner one. And then here was a different combination. So this was done with Da Vinci Perylene Green. It was all just Perylene Green in different values. This one was Holbein Shell Pink and Daniel Smith Quin Burnt Orange. I wanted to try the bright pink and the orange to give it like a brightness and a dullness. So here I've got the bright pink and then the orange. Again, I did this wet, and then to see which one had more control or which one went a little further. The orange definitely bled a little bit more. Again, the shell pink has white, so I think that kind of makes it not as movable because I think it's a little heavier with the white in there. But I really enjoyed trying this one, and I'm trying different things already. I was really nervous about doing marks in this when I first started, but once I did this page just with the wet on wet, and then tried different techniques, and then did this first page, I'm not even scared of doing marks anymore, right? I'm just like going with the flow, like, what can I do this time? What can I do different? So like for this page, I'm looking over here and I'm like, oh, I like the circles here, but let's try it with a black pen. So for this, I tried the black micron pen, a colored pencil, and then a gray marker, the Unipin that I have. And I wanted to see what I liked and what I didn't like. The colored pencil I liked for the softness. Again, I like the gray better than the black. The black to me is very stark, and I'm not sure that I like that. Like, it just seems really hard here. Like, this is the gray pencil, and I like that a little bit more. This one was the black. I didn't mind the black over the orange, but I did not like it over the pink because it just stood out. So let me bring that up so you can see. So that was the colored pencil, that is the micron, and this is the gray. And here you can see that I like the black over the orange, but I do not like the black over the pink. So had I done this with black and maybe the gray up here, I think that would have been a really fun thing to try. And you can see I'm getting more comfortable. I'm trying different things. I'm just going with the flow. And these are her samplers. And remember where I showed you her stripes in the book? Remember the stripes and the circles here? So I really love the technique, and they do have little patterns on them. You can see them here. You can see them. Oh, this blue one here has the little spots on it. So different art marks here, and I really wanted to expand on that. So I just gave myself some strips of colors. So I'm using 4 colors with each sampler, and there's always a mix. So this was the Holbein Yellow Gray with Shell Pink. This is Yellow Gray. This is Shell Pink. This is American Journey Quin Burnt Orange, and then Da Vinci Violet Iron Oxide. So you notice that I'm not just using the same colors. I am experimenting with colors and trying to make them play, where now I'm using all of these mixes into this, and it's giving me a really lovely page. I'm having a lot of fun with that. I am using marks in different ways here. You can see they're just new and fun. I am loving her little shapes that look like the leaves or the trees. That's a lot of fun. And let me show you this. So this, I use the Faber-Castell Pitt pen in dark sepia, the F, so the fine marker. And you'll notice that it's not as harsh as this black. So you see how harsh the black is there? Where then this is the same kind of pink, but yet it doesn't stand out as much. I like that it's softer. It feels softer to me, and I'm more comfortable with it than that black. So this is where learning what I like and what I don't like is part of the work for myself, because I always looked at the marks as they stood out too much. I'm getting used to the white pen a little better than the gouache, and I think that's because these are softer colors, so they don't show up. But like, look how much they show up on this darkness, but then look how they don't really show up here and here and here. So let me bring that up. So with those circles, those 2 big circles, the white looks harder and more plastic. Where see the softer circles there, and then really soft lines here on the bottom. And I'm liking that a lot. It's like a trial and error for myself. You'll notice too that I haven't tried any metallics yet, because I've told myself in my head that I really don't like metallics. But I also told myself in my head that I didn't like the white pen. So I'm working through that. And the next lesson that we have, I'm going to try metallics. I'm going to do a whole page of metallics on different colors just so that I can see what I like and what I don't like. And again, this was one exercise where I kind of copied what she did. I'm getting more comfortable every time. Here was the next colorway. This is American Journey Mint Julep. This is Mint Julep and the Periwinkle together, so these two match this. Schminky Ocean Gray, and then Isaro Payne's Gray. And I'm trying to do warm and cool. So you can see these are a little warmer in colors, and these are a little cooler. This is more my wheelhouse. This is where I feel really comfortable, but I don't want to discard the colors like this. And this is a fun way for me to see what they will do with one another. Like up here, I've mixed a bunch of colors, and it gives me a nice way to look at them, and not just through the tubes, but how can I use them? And you can see here, I'm getting a little free already. I had some white spaces that were left like little squares, so I just did a square pattern here. I had this one that I wanted it to look like a seashell, so I was like, oh, let me add some wiggly lines, and I will bring that one up for you to see. This one is my favorite on this page because I drew a circle and then I did intertwining lines up here. And I did the brightness into the dark so that I could really see those lines. I'm getting a little freer with shape here. I've got some squiggles down here. I've got mermaid scales. I've got lines and dashes. So I'm becoming a little freer. So let me show you. There's the one with the squares. Isn't that kind of cool? Here's the ones that I said look like seashells. And then this is the one that I really liked, with just the bright antennas that were kind of overflowing one another. I'm becoming looser. This doesn't look loose, but to me, this is really loose. I know some of you are probably laughing right now that this looks very tight, but for me, it's very loose because I am just playing. I am just going with what I see in the lines, or what I see where the color separates. Like you can see the purple here went down really light into the water, and then this dark color kind of went over this way and merged a little bit. So I took advantage of the colors here and here. I did 3 different patterns. Let me show that one. There it is. So you can see I'm using the empty spaces to add the design as well, not just in the full areas. And that's giving me a little more freedom. And then the next page here, I was trying everything just on my own. I had done enough of her examples, so I wanted to try something that really felt like me. So this is Da Vinci Sage and Amber. This is Da Vinci Davies Gray. This one and this one combined equals this. This is Da Vinci Perylene Green, and this is Da Vinci Joyce Mother Green. And you can see that I'm using even different shapes here. I'm using them up here differently, and then this way I am trying my own. I just was like, okay, let me have some fun. And I was really looking at, in my brain, I'm going, okay, nature, leaves, what kind of things can I find outside? You know, I thought of rocks, that kind of thing. These reminded me of apples. This, I wanted it to look kind of like a flower. This, I wanted it to look like a flower center with the long stamen. Here, I was just trying 3 different greens to see how I could make them kind of flow together. This one, I took the actual tree shape up there and I made it look like a leaf. Here, I wanted it to almost look like a Stonehenge rock, you know, where they have kind of, where think of that piece is sitting on top of that piece and this piece. So I kind of inked them that way. These reminded me of little apples with kind of the center and then the leaves. This reminded me of a tree with leaves. So you can see I'm already getting more comfortable. And this is only what? I'm only on page 39 in the book, but I'm only on... This is really my 7th spread that I'm experimenting on, and it's already feeling more like me. I love this book so far. I like how it's pushing me, and I like how I'm willing to be pushed. I'm not letting it stop me. I'm keeping her lessons in my mind, but I'm also asking myself, how can it feel more me? How can I make this more about my choices, my colors, my softness? You can see these colors here and here are really, really soft compared to what I've done as far as the circles, as far as the lines. Here's some more circles. Here's some more lines. So you can see those are heavier. I want to actually bring this up so you can see the delicateness of this one and this one. So look how soft those white lines made it. Isn't that really pretty? Here's my one with the tree. And there's the Stonehenge one, I call it. There's the apples. And then look at the soft lines here. I used that white space. I just left it white, but then I decided to come in, see how they're grouped together in a cluster and then they get further apart. I wanted them to look heavier in the middle here. And let me put that down so you see what I mean. See how that makes it a little brighter white, but then it kind of fades like that. But the softness here and here and here really feels like me. I am loving that I'm showing up because I am doing the exercises, and now I can tell you that when I do them, I look at her page and I'm like, okay, let's go. I don't really have to tell myself, breathe, let's be loose, let's give it a try. It's just welcoming a new adventure, really. And I love that this book, this simple little book called Abstract Watercolor, is getting me out of my comfort zone and letting me just play in a new and positive ways. The fact that I'm doing this with friends is even better. We meet once a week on Zoom and we just have a blast talking about what we're doing, what we liked, what we didn't like, what would we do better next time, how would we change it, how do we see ourselves showing up, are we liking it, are we not? These are all questions that we ask each other. And I can tell you though, it's changing the way that I'm thinking about lines and art marks and what else can I do. You know, I want to add some letters, I want to add some numbers, I want to sneak in those little things. I want to use masking fluids on my little sample pieces. You know, none of these little pieces have masking fluid. So for the next one, I want to actually just put some masking fluid down and just go over them because I did like the way that the masking fluid looked. So if you are looking for something different, and if you search for this book, Creative Abstract Watercolor, on YouTube, you will find so many different artists using these in different ways. I just wanted to show you how I am studying with the master of the abstract watercolor, Kate Rebecca Leach, and I am enjoying every single moment. If you were inspired by this study, please like or comment. If you haven't subscribed, please click the button. And as always, thanks for watching.